Joining us now to discuss some of these stories is Charles Ideho, the public affairs analyst. Charles, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning,
Thank
Charles.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah, good to have you. It's a rainy day in Lagos.
Yes,
How are you able to get here?
Oh, well, your driver brought me.
Oh, wow. At least, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
So let's start with the big one. On the punch paper, APC presidential screening. I think the story that is striking is the talk of, aspirants being quizzed about, records with EFCC, ICPC, CCB, and that's the Code of Conduct Bureau. You also have, talks of drug tests.
And then dual citizenship.
Dual citizenship as well.
Yeah.
Talks of drug tests, among others. Now, there are some quarters of the nation that have called for these things, that aspirants who have cases with EFCC or ICPC or the Code of Conduct Bureau shouldn't be allowed to participate in the process at all. Do you subscribe to that notion?
Well, yes and no. Yes, because we need to find a way to clean up the electoral system and make it as, maybe raise it to a level of integrity.
Okay.
So that when people who are aspiring to be our rulers or whoever, or to lead us, we know that these people will not have this moral burden heavy upon their shoulders. So that's where I think that the authorities that are vested with that information, without responsibility to insist on not having those people even go near the screening panel at all. But the no there is that except any court of competent jurisdiction in Nigeria finds anybody guilty, then you have no right to deny them, to disenfranchise them, or like. So that's where we have to weigh it. On the one hand, we need to clean up the system, but on the other hand, none of them have been found guilty by any court of competent jurisdiction. Underline that. These are all mere speculation. They are all allegations. Except the allegations have been proven to be beyond all reasonable doubt that they are guilty, then we can indeed decide to say no, they have no right to even go near there at all. But for now, they have the right because they are still on the realm of allegation, the realm of speculations.
Right.
So, yes.
Now let's look at, sorry before you go, let's look at the case of Rocha Sokorocha. The screening, why his colleagues, his co-aspirants were attending the screening at Transcorp Hilton in Abuja yesterday. He was in court, and then recall when his house was invaded, in a speech, he asked the EFCC, irrespective of whatever wants to be done, please afford me the opportunity, or give me the opportunity to not miss the screening. So looking at that and looking at what's happening, what's your 2 cents?
Well, what Okucha was asking, I think for me it was just, in a manner of speaking, it was childish. Somebody is facing criminal charges. You said they should release you to go face a screening that might give you
immunity
to lead a country. Come on, it doesn't. I mean, there's no nexus between them. You are facing criminal charges. They've leveled against you such humongous. I mean, you should first of all clear your name before you can go over there.
But
so that's why I said, for me, it sounds so childish that somebody is facing criminal charges, then you say, okay, they should just give you a window. Just let me go over there. No, it doesn't work that way.
Going by your assertion now, it seemingly negates what you said earlier when you said that proven guilty, innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
The reason is one of the aspirants who was screened yesterday also has a case with EFCC.
Okay, there's a difference between that and this one. Where is Okorocha right now?
Court.
No. Where is he? Is he being incarcerated? Has he been released?
No.
I didn't read it in the news that he has been released.
Okay.
So it's still within the confines of. He's still being detained. So until a court has granted him bail, he remains a detainee. You can't take a detainee to go and face a screening. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But the person who you made allusion, the person is not being detained. So there are two things.
Okay.
On the one hand, one of them is being detained or incarcerated, if you want that synonym. Is still there. So yes, and no court has said grant him bail. I say he's been granted bail. You can't just release him. EFCC, they will be working against the law.
Okay.
So that's where it goes. I'm not a lawyer, but these are all there for us to look at.
Okay.
Yes.
Talking about the issue of the NDLEA here, their role. Do you also subscribe to that aspirants should be, have to undergo drug test and what have you? Because that was one of the demands, but the party snubbed that. Is that something we should consider going forward?
Yes, I think I subscribe to it, but it's not found anywhere in our body of laws. And we are a country ruled by, that are governed by a body of laws in this country.
Yeah.
And we can't be seen like a banana republic or a pariah state or a state where you have to do things the way they do in the jungle where there are no laws. We have laws that are governing us, and we have always been insisting on rule of law, standing tall and being overriding factor, overriding, how do I say, platform through which we can all run this country. So we can't have that. Except they want to look at maybe NDLA can submit a private member bill to the assembly for them to consider it. So if we have, if that aspect finds a way into our body of laws, yes, we can. But for now, no agency in Nigeria has the right to say somebody should be subjected through drug test before he can become a president. So that's where I have it. And it's very I'm very sad because we don't there's no law backing it up at all.
But then you would have preferred that was
I said it's something that I would have loved to go for.
Now, still talking about that, now we've had aspirants who have had issues with the EFCC or still have issues with the EFCC. They still purchased the ticket. Looking at a system where rather than we have credible people purchase the tickets, instead of purchasing the tickets and still having the EFCC storm into their house or the drug enforcement agents storm into their house, why not you subscribe to a system where you have people who are already credible, has gone through this test and are seen on a very clean slate? Because now, imagine a presidential aspirant purchasing the ticket of a country, Giant of Africa, and then the few days to the screening, you're having the EFCC coming to his home. It puts us in a very bad light in the eyes of this national community. So rather than that, wouldn't it have been better to have a system where these people are cleared before they even purchase the presidential ticket?
But the question I raised now is what I think we should all look at critically. We will also look at the competence of the competence and the independence of the anti-graft agencies.
Okay.
All right. So the question I'd like to ask is a rhetorical question. I hope any of you has the answer. Is where was EFCC all these years? Where was EFCC all these years? So why do they have to wait till very close to somebody is going to step into a room and say, no, you can't step in there? Why didn't you even prevent him originally from even say, okay, you can kill somebody's aspiration when you have something. If you have an allegation and you know that you have watertight evidence to say, okay, I will prevent you from having because you have manufactured here exactly against the state. You don't allow them to go near there because now you have allowed them on the one hand, and people are even saying conspiracy theories will say, oh, they use them to make money for the party. Therefore, I say, no, you can't go there. So I blame EFCC squarely. When you have any case against any individual, and you have done all the investigation and you have watertight evidence, then you just move in. Okay, another thing is that I expected the EFCC to have gone to court to stop these people, to say they have cases against them. You understand? Yes. So EFCC, they could go to court to say, okay, maybe high court or wherever. You go to court to say, no, we are challenging the aspiration of this man because he has case A, case B to answer. Okay. So let the court decide whether they have the right to continue with the aspiration or not.
Okay, just before we wrap up this particular conversation, extending your thought now, my question will be, how do we regulate the electoral process in Nigeria to ensure that it is not monetized the way we have it now? In terms of, it's almost like the presidency or, our elective poster up for the highest bidder. How can we regulate the process to ensure that, we do not have things like this? You know what I mean?
Well, one thing is that on the one hand, the state actors, they've already perfected their own games. They're always ahead of us. The politicians are ahead of us. We also have NFU, Nigerian Financial Something Unit also. Yes. You have them, but what are they doing? They also have to, they have the right to sniff into people's accounts and know if monies are being moved here and there. If, for instance, I have about just 1 million naira in my account, all of a sudden it is, I'm richer by about 20 million naira. You need to ask questions where I got those monies from. So they ought to be doing that. Another thing is that, see, it is the political system that is throwing up this monetization of the system, the political, that our politics in Nigeria. I tell you why. For instance, an APC bringing to us, all of us saying, say, your expression of interest, you are expressing interest to contest.
30 million?
You must pay 30 million naira. You are expressing it to something.
Yeah,
Can I come and join you here? Okay, bring 30 million. Okay, now I want to apply. You give me, so I'm going to pay you 70 million, making 100 million. Then after paying you, there are things that I must do to make to keep me on this seat, so that somebody else will know. What do you think I should do? I will do everything possible to make sure I pay. I pay if it is the highest bidder. Okay, if I need maybe Mike and Nat, I need Femi, all of them to ensure that I remain here, I will pay them. Now, there is, see, integrity can be tested. He said it's only when it's a man who is saying I'm very progress. Give the man hunger. By the time you go close to him and bring maybe a few banknotes, you see that the man will be. I told you about a professor friend of mine who said the only thing he would do is that the money that they were being induced by was so much that if he remains here, he will soil his integrity. But the man left. If he had remained there, there's no way that integrity, his branches everywhere, would have be sustained. So you find on the one hand the politicians that have monetized this. Then on the other hand, there are authorities that have vested that responsibility to say, okay, let's then begin to check and all that. Which was why I actually like later, I first of all didn't like it that EFCC was going to the venue. But later when I look at the way they said, okay, well, they were all checking bags and all that. But the question is, when they got there, were they arrest made?
Exactly.
All right, for the want of time, we just have to wrap up this segment. But we'll go straight into the first discussion we have for the day. The former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has emerged the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general election. He emerged as the party's choice at its ongoing national convention and presidential primary in Asaba, Delta State on Monday, after other aspirants stepped down for him. As one of the 15 presidential aspirants cleared by the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Obi last week dumped the party, citing recent developments which appear in contrast to his personal principles as his reason. Speaking after receiving the Labour Party's presidential flag, Obi said that his mission in the Labour Party was to lead the charge towards building the new Nigeria nation through revamping of economy, effectively tackling insecurity, addressing education problems, and upping the general standard of living of Nigerians by ending wastages in government. Now we still have Charles Deho right here in the studio. Let's look at the emergence of Peter Obi as the flag bearer for the Labour Party from resigning from PDP. I don't want to use the word dumping PDP as the report had it, resigning from PDP into Labour Party, and also on the May 4th of May, that's just a few days ago, and then they will warn him do not accept to be VP for anybody. So with all of those things and saying that the party's whatever recent development is against his own personal principles, what do you think is burden? Well,
first, I congratulate him for that winning the ticket. That's one man that so many youths of Nigeria they actually like, because he speaks their language. But again, Obi, a good person he may be, is just in the race the wrong time. Wrong time meaning that Samson mentioned something about the political system being monetized, which is of course what he says stands against his own personal principles. But you see, I actually feel very sad for Peter Obi, as I said earlier, coming to the fray at the wrong time. I will explain what I mean by that. But where we are now in Nigeria, it's almost becoming very, very impossible for anybody to prosecute any election successfully without spending money. Which is, of course, why Obi said he doesn't want, he wants none of that. But I begin to question myself, and I'm questioning Obi. How does he tend to fly the Robin Hood type of politics in Nigeria, where you want to take from the rich and distribute among the poor? And these rich are the ones who are holding the ladder up to you to climb over there. These are the rich who are spitting their face before even step on the first rung of the ladder up there. So it's going to be pretty difficult for Obi to begin to canvass for a no spend. We're not going to spend money. We're going to do that. Delegates are not going to go. I understand that. That's how to clean up the system. But you see, there are some times when people have things to run or to bring to the table. They move along what people are singing. When they get in there, they now have all it takes to now begin to change everything. You understand? That's exactly some. If you go all over the world, you find that people who are politically righteous and morally righteous, they usually don't get off there. Because if you look at today, these Nigerian people who are governing Nigerian, they are no more than 7. They are no more than 7. You can count them on your fingers. They're no more than 7 people who are governing Nigeria. And these are people who have made so much money through the system, and they are not about to let go. So they want somebody who is going to come to say you want to take from them and distribute among the poor. They won't let him. So that's why some people who are very diplomatic, who are very, very creative, they say, okay, well, let's just do it this way. Okay, let's get in there. But once he gets in there, he has all the power vested upon him, presidential power, power of the they call it, I think, the power of incumbency. It gets into him, then he now begin to do what they call reforms. Suharto, was it Suharto? What's his name? There's one man who looks like Obama. I think it's Indonesia. The man, I forgot his name now. The man used that to get into that place. Okay. And he started doing all the reforms. The man who is facing war in Ukraine now, Zelensky. Yeah. Zelensky. He was a TV comedian. He said, "Well, what politicians are doing?" But he got the vote and he got there, and he started doing all the things that he fought against. You understand? So I think, for instance, the Labour Party again. We also look at that Obi has gone to. Labour Party is a welfarist party. Labour Party is like a socialist party. Obi is predominantly a capitalist. Purely capitalist. You talk about production, you talk about but there is Labour that wants the state to take care of their welfare. So I don't know how Obi is going to be able to. It's a delicate balancing. But as you said before we came on there, but in Nigeria people hardly talk about political ideologies. Yeah. Maybe he might ride on that on the back of let's just do it, because now, as I said earlier, people are beginning to look at individuals, not the party anymore. So let's look at how it flies. But I don't think that Labour Party is heavy enough to cause any major offset in this. It's
not even heavy enough. It should be heavy enough to, because, sorry to cut you, but because looking at the recent happenings now, you've already established the fact that now Nigerians are more bothered about the individual than the party. But I think Peter Obi had to go to the Labour Party because looking at the APC, knowing he may not get the ticket for the PDP, contesting against Wike, Atiku, Bukola Saraki, he may not have gotten there. So probably he had to go to a party where his chances are higher, knowing fully well that right now Nigerians are more interested, or maybe we think they're more interested in the person and not necessarily the party. So
now another sad tale about the Obi aspiration is this. Obi is enjoying widespread support from the youths, which is good, because youth when you talk about population census, which we are not done since 2006, you have more of youths, okay? So the youths are rooting for him. Question, how many of these youths have PVCs? Well. Question, how many of these youths vote during elections? Question, do you win elections on the social media? Yep. These are some things that are very, very germane and very important. Obi may rake in so much support from the youths, but when it gets to when everybody is going to be filing behind Obi, you won't find these youths because they are not qualified to vote for Obi. You understand? They are raising support for him, which is good. But when it gets to that threshold where they will hand him that, they collectively hand him the mandate, do they have that? Most of them don't even have the power. INEC's registration online just ended yesterday. How many youths that are rooting for Obi now took advantage of that? A friend of mine, when we were driving here, a friend of mine called the radio station, was blasting that neck. And so after he finished, I called him. I said, "Bro, you have missed it. You are missing it." I personally helped people, a couple of people, to also register online. It was seamless. I didn't have to go anywhere. I did my card is defaced. What I just put in my name and everything about me came out. They said, "Okay, you snap 2 photographs." one of them you smile, the other one you don't smile,
yeah.
which I did, and they sent meetings immediately. So how many youths took advantage? If the backroom boys here in this studio now, if you ask them now, how many of them have PVC? Maybe probably 1 or 2 of them. If you take a census of the young people in this studio, in this IBrandTV, you ask them, how many of them have PVCs? Maybe only 1 or 2.
Yeah, we have responsible staff in this studio.
No, it's not about it's not about being responsible. It's about knowing the power behind that little plastic.
It's addressing political apathy within the youths, or among the youths rather. Let's look at it. You just said you know, it's more about the individuals right about now within the political landscape. Well, again, you have to look at, you know, the reality from 2019, the last election, to realize how true is that. Majority of the parties, either in the, you know, executive or your legislature across, you know, the states, both houses of assembly and national assembly, were predominantly APC and PDP. You just had probably one YPP, Ifeanyi, the senator. You had, you know, very few ABGA and all of that. So is it really about the individual in this sense? That's one. Then two, if we're talking about the individual, how popular is Obi in the north, where you expect, you know, the large turnout to be?
Well, Obi is popular among the elite, among the very educated. That's why I said I first saw, you know, I mentioned it earlier, that it may not be able to cost me jobs. I told you that. Whether I like it or not, the North is still using that population figure against us. But I question, in this national TV, if we actually do a thorough census in this country, you might see that even this figure that they are banding in the North is not true. Odumegu, the former NBL chairman, I think was made NPC. But he said he was going to conduct election. I mean, census for the benefit, but they kicked him out
2006
because he was speaking against some vested interest. I mean, you go to the North today, most cases, so we are told, you go over there because of their religion. You can't go into Puda or something. You can't go into some households. When 2006 census, people came to my city room, brought everybody from bedroom to come here. But in some parts, they couldn't do that. You can't do that. You couldn't do that. They can't do that now. They will, okay, no, how many are you here? We are 18. I have 5 wives. I have 7 children. I have 23 grandchildren. Take the list and you walk away. There's no way we have tested that. So, Obi may be very popular, but as I said, popular among the youth and mainly in the social media. That's why I'm saying that if he gets to integrity, let's assume if A is equals to B, and then all the youths or majority of the youth, they have PVC. Yes, we could say, okay, well, Obi may cost close to home because it still has major opposition in the North. I'm sure you read, I'm not sure if you read in the news where if they even say that no candidate of Igbo extraction will be allowed to come over to the North and campaign. Just in response to what the Southeasterners also said that because Obi was, because Wike was cheated, and Obi was also not treated well, that they will not allow any Northern candidate to also campaign. So we already have that divide, which may not work. We may work against Obi. So that's why I said, good guy, great ideas, but I say is coming out at the wrong time.
At the wrong time,
yes. What are possibilities of, let's look at who he may pick as a running mate.
Who's that, Obi?
Oh, yeah, and also Kwankwaso's statement saying he would likely have picked Obi as his running mate.
But I think, something I made mention that I felt,
we said that
I feel, on behalf of Obi, I think that statement by Kwankwaso is very insulting. That, if he would have made him my running mate. Is it forbidding if Kwankwaso say, okay, Obi, come, I want to be your running mate? Shouldn't it be that way? I mean, how can we? That's why Wike said
Godfatherism.
He said he doesn't want to be second class. Remember they said that if the ticket doesn't go north, they can't win it. So when people start talking down on you, it becomes very insulting.
Kwankwaso feels, one, he has the stronger base. Two, he has the wealth of experience. I mean, he's been in the game even way before 1999 when he became governor. And 3, he probably commands more following than Peter Obi.
Then he should use the following he should fight the following behind Obi. That's what I'm saying. I personally, this is personal to me. I think it's an insulting statement that Obi should have been my running mate. Why don't you, okay, Obi should have offered you the ticket. How about that? We'll find your ticket, then we pull all our resources together, we put our platform at our disposal. Would it have been another thing to talk about? Rather than even saying, okay, you have to play the second video every time. That's why I feel it's sorted, you know. So on behalf of Obi anyway. So I think we should look at all these politics of it has to be not and not and not every time. It's not going to help us. Yeah, I might say, okay, I'm also of the view that let's get the best in the country. But are you saying it, all these 774 local government, it's only from one party we will get the best?
But looking at it again, oftentimes with election, people, candidates rather try to pick, a running mate that is also strong in terms of, support base, followership and all of that. Now, who would you think, I mean, looking at the array of politicians we have for Peter Obi, that should be the running mate? I'm looking at Labour Party and I'm wondering who is that can really be a running mate?
I know no other person outside Peter Obi now. Because Labour Party, for me, it's quite a long time I read them in the news. Peter Obi coming in our house, maybe let me use this term. I'm sorry if it's unsavory, that resurrected the party from the dead, in a manner of speaking. I know no other person on the platform of Labour Party that I could pick. I don't know them, and it's also could be very difficult. If you are not a member of any party, you can't be a running mate.
Exactly.
So the person has to register his membership or his or her membership in the party. I think within, I can't recall whether it's 24 or 48 hours or so. So and I don't know. I have no knowledge of anybody in Labour Party, as you speak, that could be obese. And he can't if he poaches. It might be too late for him to poach. So it's really dicey. It's really dicey. That's why I say I really don't envy that man. Good guy, great idea, but
the political strategy,
wrong platform, wrong time.
All right. We still have a lot of conversations to go on. But we'll go before we go into the second conversation of the day. We'll take a very short breather right now. We'll be right back.